Okay, it's 5 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and call the Solid Waste Committee meeting to order. Dakota, will you give us a prayer, please?
Yes, sir. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for everything you do for us. Thank you for hearing us. Thank you for seeing us. Thank you for protecting us in all things. Lord, bless this committee tonight and the committees that's coming after. Lord, work through us. Let us do your work. God, we just love you. Thank you for Jesus and what he did on the cross for the remission of our sins. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, roll call, please.
Dakota White,
Here.
TK Austin,
Here.
Becky Golden, Jordan Coe, Chris Barrington,
Here.
Roger Mason,
Here.
Larry Daniels. Do we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman?
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve April 7th meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve, sir.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner White and a second by Commissioner Brewington. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Is there any old business? Is there any new business?
I'll give us a quick update of what I know, Mr. Chairman. Y'all
Okay.
hear it. Easter Sunday, there was a fire down there at the Class 3 part of it. First responders and emergency services responded. Then Waste Management came in and took care of the problem. There's going to be a meeting later this month with Waste Management and probably EMA and probably some fire chiefs in that area for proper protocol on how to handle a landfill fire so for the next time that something like that happens. The permit process is still going back and forth. Waste Management had got their notifications from TDEC and has responded, and TDEC has 2 weeks to respond back. So that's where we're at on that process. We're waiting for the reply back. That's all.
All the trees are gone.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, they looked like they had already started clearing, so.
Yeah, there's been some clearing down there, and that's being done by a contractor, and they had started some fires themselves.
Yeah.
And I think there may have been a little miscommunication between the contractor. They pulled a fire permit, but apparently nobody told anybody. Whoever issues the permit, I don't know who that is. And so I think emergency responders were notified again of possibly another fire that ended up being burning off that debris. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman, unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Any more new business? Anyone from the audience like to address this committee? Okay. Calendar update, Monday, May 19th at 6 p.m. will be our next full court. And Monday, June the 2nd at 5 p.m. will be our next solid waste meeting.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, we'll call steering committee A to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Kane Rogers,
Here.
TK Austin.
Here.
Becky Golden, Laney Selby, Thomas Ferguson, Derek Hutchings,
Here.
Larry Daniels.
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. At this time, I'll entertain a motion to approve April 7th steering committee A minutes.
Motion. Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Roger, we don't have a representative from Parks and Rec, so if you would like to give us a report.
Don't really have anything new. The stuff that we've been reporting on for the last couple of months, we're working on. We finally settled on decisions on the sign and the, basically the grant money from Waste Management. We're splitting that between the parking lot and a sign and restroom facilities over at the tennis courts at the high school. And so we're kind of in a working phase right now, getting work lined up, quotes, that type of stuff to get that work going. Really, the only one of them that's pretty much done is the parking lot. If you get a chance to drive through there, Jerry's done a really good job with that parking lot down there where the old house was. Looks real nice, and he's also redid the one over behind the ball fields too, so. That's really about all I've got.
Was there something about a donation? Somebody was donating them?
There was the Warrior Youth Football League had donations to basically erect a field house. I think it was a 30 by 40 building that they were gonna put turf in to use for practice for the youth football field, for the youth football league during inclement weather and that type of stuff, and use for storage to relocate some of the stuff they've got down in the red buildings. And they were requesting approval to put that up on the far side of the football field, up on that hill. And based on where they were looking at and stuff, we went ahead and gave them approval to do that. It's not gonna cost the county anything. They had private donors lined up to do that, so.
That's big news.
Yeah.
That's good.
Do we need to do anything on that, or is just their approval?
Is that something the county will need to insure after it's constructed? Probably.
Yeah, I told them the motion was pending legal review and approval. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Sam about it yet. But I told, we did make that stipulation that Parks and Rec Committee was okay with it, but we wanted to get legal approval. So we will need to do that, and I guess that'll be a question there. I'm not sure how those other, they got the storage buildings down there that they use now. And I'm not sure how they're, we do, county does.
And utilities and all that stuff.
We don't insure content,
Just the structure.
structure.
That's a good question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I stand corrected. Apparently we do insure content.
You won't.
No, I'm sorry. We was asking, the question was about insurance, and of course he answered it, we was gonna have the attorney look at it.
So do we need to send this to full court, or do we need to wait?
I don't think so. I think we need, it needs to be reviewed, legal needs to review it to make sure that we've got everything covered.
Okay. All right.
I'll put it back on the agenda for the 19th.
No, full court's 19th.
Yeah.
The second will be the next meeting.
Well, the next Parks and Rec happens on Sunday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah,
I'll put it back on the agenda
okay,
and follow up. I'll follow up with Sam between now and then,
all right.
so we've got answers.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is to approve a resolution to adopt Harley Ridge Road and Dairy Barn Road, which is, it's a new subdivision here. And we have approval from, Jerry has already looked at it and approved it. And if anybody wants to see where this is, and it's in the Black Oak community here off of Duck Pond Road.
It's okay.
I'm pretty sure.
It'll also be contingent on planning commission's approval. Well, contingent on.
Okay,
Motion to send to full court, subject to planning commission approval.
okay.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Harley Ridge Road and Dairy Barn Road. Is there any discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Next is library surplus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have one item that's at the library that we'd like to surplus. It's a Kyocera Task Alpha 4501i copy machine that's at end of life. It has already been replaced, and we'd just like this permission to send that to full court so it is surplus and we can sell it.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the sale of library surplus. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's see. Now I've lost there it is. Okay, is there any old business? Any new business? Would anyone from the audience like to address this committee? Okay, hearing none, let's see. Our calendar update will be Monday the 19th at 6 p.m. will be our full court, and our next Committee A meeting will be June the 2nd, following the solid waste. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, motion second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Steering Committee B to order. Roll call, please.
Chris Brington.
Here.
David Cranford. Robert McCormick.
Here.
Dakota White.
Here.
Jordan Coates. Roger Mason.
Here.
Kyle Gall.
Here.
Do you have a quorum, Mr. Chairman?
Right. First item on the agenda is the approval of April 7th minutes. Received those in the packet. I'd entertain a motion to approve those.
Motion.
A motion by Commissioner Brewington,
Second.
second by Commissioner White. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, next item on the agenda is old business. Do we have any old business? Commissioner Hutchins?
Has there been any more discussion on moving the animal shelter?
The last thing that we talked about was based on the 5-year lease that we had, that we weren't in a huge rush. So I know there's some question about whether or not we'd be needing to prepare for anything this budget cycle. So as far as plans that we have talked about in committee that would impact that, there's not. But we do recognize that that is something that in the next couple of years that we're gonna have to address. And
So the committee's not looking at doing anything this budget cycle with it?
not that I'm aware of, not based on recent discussions that we've had. There's of course, if property were to present itself or something that we thought might be suitable or whatnot, then we'd have to come back and revisit it, but at this time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else have any new or any more old business?
Anything new on the storage for the clerk's office?
The last thing that we talked about was we approved the rental. I'm not sure that we're even using that. I don't think any of that has been used to this point. And I haven't heard anything else from her. I mean, she made a request for additional storage. This committee made the decision to approve renting space. That was sent to budget and to full court and was approved, and none of that's been used. So it's my opinion that unless we hear something else, everything's okay for right now. Unless somebody knows something I don't. Do you know anything else, Chad, other than what we've allocated hadn't been used, so they're,
$1,500.
yeah. So apparently we're making room with what we've got. Any other old business? Any new business for steering committee B?
I think we have something.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Late Friday afternoon, I got an email from Judge Meadows notifying me that the electronic monitoring service that monitors the people on probation, that we need to contract with them. So I've got a copy of the contract. It'll be between White County and A21 USA, with Community Probation Services being the agent for them. I will send this out. This will be at no cost to the county. It's charged to the inmate, but we'll have to get a agreement with them, and I'll get it sent out to you, but so you can look at it before for full court. But I would ask that you go ahead and approve it to send to full court. Again, it's at no cost to the county, and it's a electronic monitoring service for the court system.
I'll make a motion to approve, to send it to full court.
Second.
So a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Motion carries. Any other new business? Anybody from the audience like to address steering committee B? All right, hearing none. Calendar update, the full court meeting will be May the 19th at 6 o'clock in this room. Next steering committee B meeting will be June the 2nd, following steering committee A. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, sir.
Motion second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
You got a quorum.
Yep, there's just three of us.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call this purchasing committee to order. And I'll entertain a motion for approval of the minutes from the April 7th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We'll now review the procurement process for RFB, Dwight Utility District, and the ARP for the water line project.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So we opened bids on the 29th for our second ARP water line project. This one's with the Dwight Utility District. This will be a replacement of a water line along Disneyland Road. We had 5 bidders. Low bidder was G Meeks Construction LLC at $670,210. That is under budget for this project, and we would ask that that the committee award the bid to G Meeks Construction based on the procurement process.
Didn't we use them for the last project?
Yes, actually, they were the awarded bidder on our last project too for Bodycroft.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Motion carried. Okay. Do we have any old business? Hearing none, do we have any new business? Hearing none, do we have any public comment? Anybody would like to address the purchasing committee? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion approved. We are adjourned.
Start with the roll call vote. Denny Wayne Robinson.
Here.
Derek Hutchings.
Here.
TK Austin. Here. Kyle Goff is here. We have a full committee, so we do have a quorum. We entertain approval of the minutes from our April 28th meeting.
Motion.
Second.
A motion by Commissioner Hutchings, second by Executive Robinson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes are approved. Okay, Mr. Markham, I'm going to turn this over to you. If you would like to break these up, and we can just interject with questions as you go, if you just want to go through those 25 budget amendments. The first is from the Solid Waste Disposal Fund, and this one will go to commission.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So as you recall, we've discussed previously about, with the sale of the landfill, the Solid Waste Disposal Fund is an enterprise fund. With the sale of the landfill, we need to convert that to a governmental fund, so it will need to be converted to a solid waste sanitation fund. It's going from a fund number 207 to a fund 116. Not really anything that you guys will see on your end as far as differences in budgeting or anything like that. We'll still appropriate the budget and so on and so forth, but this is more of an accounting issue. This first resolution that will go to the county commission is a resolution to close and liquidate that enterprise fund. So you'll see that it spells out that with the sale of the landfill, we do need to close those funds, or that fund in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. And then we also have a budget amendment that reverses the budget that we originally adopted, minus a few items that we have to take care of out of the fund to close that out. So that would go to the county commission. Letter B on your agenda is the solid waste sanitation fund. So this goes to the county commission, and this would be a resolution to establish and make appropriations for the new fund. So in order to account for the solid waste department, and we're not going to account for it in the one that we just closed, so we've got to start a new fund. This is starting that solid waste sanitation fund and making appropriations accordingly for that. Any questions on those two? They kind of work together.
Why is there a 15,000 difference?
15,000 difference. Well, there were some items that we have to take care of in the solid waste disposal fund, mainly debt issuances that were tied to that enterprise fund that we have to take care of out of that. Letter C on your agenda is the Highway Capital Projects Fund. So this is a resolution to close and liquidate the Highway Capital Projects Fund. We set that fund up several years ago to account for the 2 bridges on Roberts Matthews Highway that were constructed. Those are complete, and we're closing that fund and liquidating that money back into, or returning that money back into the highway fund. We had moved money over into that. Those were all 100% grant bridges, but we had to appropriate funds for cash flow purposes. So that's moving those funds back into the highway fund. Any questions on that one?
So it goes, is that the highway department or it's different than the?
No, that's, the highway public works funds, the highway department.
Okay.
Yeah.
So will there be restrictions on that money, or it just goes back in the fund to be?
Yeah, it was moved out of the highway fund whenever it was set up, and so it's just moving back. So it's the same, it's the highway money, so there's no restrictions.
And how long has that been out of the fund? About 2 or 3 years or so?
No,
It's probably
6 years maybe. Because we started with the bridge over Falling Water, maybe 8 years. No, not 8 years, probably 6 years. Letter D is for the county general fund. We have 3 within committee. The first one, all 3 of these are reallocations within the respective major categories for computer purchases. We have one for the finance department that's reallocating It's reallocating $9,000 for computer purchases and upgrades. Have one for the county executive's office, reallocating $4,000 for computer purchases and upgrades. And we have one for the county trustee's office that's reallocating $700 for computer purchases and upgrades in those departments. Any questions on those? Okay, the last section in the general fund, these do go to county commission. The first one is the county clerk's office. It's appropriating $25,000 out of her data processing fees that she collects, which are restricted in account 34515 for computer purchases and upgrades. The second amendment on your packet is for courtroom security. This is appropriating restricted fees for equipment and materials for the courtroom security program. These are funds that are collected from court cases and are restricted for courtroom security improvements. And so this money is set aside, and we're moving that out of fund balance of 34520, that restricted account. Amendment number 3 is for EMS. This is a $40,000 budget amendment. This is to appropriate funds anticipated to be required for drugs and medical supplies for the remainder of the fiscal year. We're probably overshooting this, but we'd rather have a little bit more, and then whatever's not left will be returned to fund balance than to not have enough at fiscal year end. The same thing for the next two as well. Parks and Recreation is number 4. This is additional funds anticipated to be required for mowing services through the end of June. This is a $13,500 budget amendment for that. And then the final one is central maintenance. This is probably the one that's the biggest, but just with the increased cost and stuff that we've discussed, or we discussed in our last meeting with central maintenance department. This is $197,000 anticipated funds required for completion of their services through June 30th. Now again, on all of these, we estimate high, just so that we are covered budgetary wise through the end of June, since we do have meetings in June, but once those meetings are completed, we can't alter the budget anymore until, we can't alter the budget anymore for the fiscal year. So anything that is not used in these lines will be returned to fund balance and roll over to the next year.
Chad, on item 2, the courtroom security, what equipment will that purchase?
So they have, they've used some courtroom security funds to purchase items that are for the courtroom security officer specifically, whether that be tasers or body cameras or protective bulletproof vest, and those items can be paid for out of courtroom security if they're being used during the courtroom security process. And so that's what that is. Those are what those funds are used for.
Okay.
And all of those are, it's already in their budget, we're just moving them from one line to another, or this is new expenditures?
The 1 through 5 in the county commission, those are new expenditures. 1 through 3 that's within committee, those are within the budget. I shouldn't say new expenditures, additional budgetary expenditures.
But 1 and 2 then do, number 1, number 2 do come from a designated fund that's set up.
That they've collected?
Correct, yeah. That has to be used for that particular purpose.
3, 4, and 5 is coming out of general. Well, technically, it all comes out of general, but it's.
Okay, let's go back to item number A. This is closing the solid waste enterprise fund. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Have a
Second.
motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, item, are you gonna be able to get this, Chad?
Yeah.
We go too fast here. Item B, this is to establish a new sanitation fund. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item C, this is to close the capital projects fund for the two bridges on Roberts Matthews, and then we'll liquidate the rest of that capital to go to the highway general fund. I'd entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Resolution carries. Now, when we move to general fund, we'll do the three that stay within committee, we can do all together unless the committee would like to pull one out. I'd entertain a motion to approve all three stay within committee.
Motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, those three carry. You still okay, Chad?
Yes.
And the 5 items that will go to full court, I'd entertain a motion to approve unless you'd like to pull one of those out and discuss separately.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions for Chad? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Markham. We'll switch gears and start to discuss the fiscal year '26 budget. We have with us tonight the OEM Director, Mr. Matt McBride. Mr. McBride, if you'd come forward. We would love to hear about your budget request for us. Yep.
Okay. First of all, a little bit of, it's this year's business instead of 26.
That's fine. Yeah, that's fine.
So this, what I'm handing you is two repair invoices for, I think Chief Jason Sparks has reached out to several of you regarding a fire truck invoice, a couple of invoices, kind of the same way we did the invoices for, there's two there, total of $4,949.15. As you can see in the notations of both of those invoices, they are, it tells exactly what was done. This was not necessarily what I would classify, and it states in the notation, not a lack of maintenance. It was more so of just a maintenance effort, found a coolant leak, and then a pump seal that went bad in the truck. As I know that he has spoke to some of you, the first invoice, coolant leak, neither EGR cooler, the corrections in that notation, what they did, which was for a total of $14,1393, $977.50 of that being labor and parts. I'm sorry, two different ones, two line items, one being $356.40 and one not being $977.50. On the second invoice, the kit mechanical seal, as you can see, was $2191.95, and then travel, and then the freight, which was a part discrete performed. So in that $225 on that pump test, we did not pump test their engine with the rest of the county engines because it had already been pump tested on this date in this year of 2025. So anytime that they get into a repair into the pump on a fire engine, they're required to go ahead and pump test that to make sure that it passes. And then on line 4 is a G2 field service kit, which is a ball valve, which what happens there, on those ball valves during maintenance. So basically we know that we get calcium deposits in our water system, which is normal. Those polymer balls and those valves, what happens is they will start to scratch once they get a calcium buildup on them, and that's pretty common to have to repair them. What happens with that is you get a leak back on that. It's a leaky valve, which can cause an air leak or whatnot towards that. I think if we do the same math on this, with the total bill being $4949.15, which was $4,949.15. The county's contribution would be $3711.86, and this Doyle Fire Department's would be $1237.28.
So
$3,711.86. Yes, sir. with the Dole Fire Department's contribution to these invoices being
And that's based off of a
1237.
75-25 split?
That's a 75-25 split, which we have done in the past for the last two fire departments.
So you need approval from this committee tonight, and we would send this to full court.
Yes, sir.
Is that right, Chad? This would need to go,
Yes, we don't have funds appropriated for this.
My question would be, this one was in December and one was in February. The other two that we approved was major, I mean, I don't know if this is major repair to deal with, were major repairs that was.
Major repairs, just not to the
Several.
dollar amount, if that makes sense. Both of them they're probably all equal being in the pump system. It's just that we did, not as catastrophic.
They come to us before work got done and we approved.
They
this as
did.
well
It was a
as the repair.
situation that I think and I'll be glad if you wanted to postpone and let Chief Sparks, but he would be glad to come and speak also. I think the situation is one, that they only have one engine, so they don't have another backup engine, so it had to be repaired and had to be done. So they had to have basically an E-repair. I think this would be a reimbursement to them. Once he figured out that we was allocating money towards some of the fire department's core repairs, I think that's one reason that he reached out.
I mean, that's where I'm going with it. is
Absolutely.
We've opened a can of worms with these other
Yes,
two.
yes, we have. The issue with that, and the reason that I'm here presenting, is Dole covers, I think, like 1.6 square miles of territory that is actual Dole city limits. And outside of that, towards our ISO rating, which the county taxpayers, which is outside the city limits of Dole, is probably 10 times that great of a value in that area compared to what their ISO rating is put towards. So they are, I guess you would say that their contribution as far as fire coverage that not another county fire department can cover is way far out of the Dole city limits.
Do you think the ratio needs to be adjusted due to the fact that part of their coverage is inside the city limits of Dole? Everybody else is 100% in the county.
And I can get him on the phone if we need to know exact square miles, but I don't know how big.
My problem
Dole
is, part of this is 6 months ago, and we're being asked to reimburse for
Well,
something that
now,
we weren't aware of.
to one to his defense is we started this process probably a couple of months ago, getting it compiled and getting it together, and trying to get in on a budget, a meeting, so, we are, one of the two of those months is, yes, that's partly on trying to get it fit in and get on some agenda to a degree as far as being able to push with my schedule. I don't know how many other commissioners he's talked to, but I think he did address quite a few of them. I'm not sure exactly.
well, just to my limited knowledge, they respond
Wherever they're
far
requested.
outside their
Yes, sir.
limitations.
Yes, sir.
right? And we contribute, Chad can probably off the top of his head, $12,000 to them a year. To me, and this is probably the wrong way to look at it, but I don't look at them much different than I look at any of the other volunteer departments.
Sure.
They've responded, they've been the first on scene to some fires that they had to bypass several volunteer departments on their way there.
Correct.
My opinion, I would love to get this done for them, but that's just my opinion.
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yeah.
just want to caution the committee, in the other two situations, it was my understanding that the department did not have the funds to make those repairs. And I just want to caution the committee that if we start reimbursing for repairs that have already been able to be made and purchased or with existing funds, there's repairs that go on every day with some of these vehicles, and I just want us to be cognizant of that. If we're going to do that, then we need to be able to handle that moving forward.
That's exactly what I was fixing to say. I'm not fighting the volunteer fire departments do great work.
Sure. I agree with that statement. At the same time, there's a lot of repairs that we don't reimburse. I know that there's another situation going on at Hickory Valley, which I'm going to address here shortly. They've got 2 trucks they're addressing on their own, but they're not going to have the funds for the other. And one, they're capable, and they've already had repairs done, and we're not requesting as far as right now towards their tankers. So, you know, Central View 2 years ago had an air dryer go out. It cost me over $3,000 to get a company to come out and put an air dryer on our tanker. We didn't request those funds then, just because some of these things, the volunteer fire departments do try to swallow. The way explaining when speaking with Chief Sparks is, you know, everybody's tight as far as tight as they probably can be and as lean as they can be as far as the equipment that we carry and utilize within some of the departments in this county. And I think that's his reasoning for reaching it out. I think it's, I wouldn't say that anybody necessarily is just reaching on past. I mean, we're talking this one was in February and one was in December. So nobody, I don't think, will be backdating a year or 2 necessarily. Most people will address me. I know Cassville's got a couple of things going on with theirs. They're small repairs. One was an alternator, one was a fuel level. So, I mean, I think they're handling them on their own as far as, but when we start to get into these $1,000, when we get into these $3,000 and $4,000 and $5,000, you're talking about pulling a set of turnout gear, a thermal imaging camera. You know, you're talking.
Where do we draw the line? I mean, is it, you know,
I agree to that, but that's basically going to take a Park and Recs committee, but it's going to take a Fire and Emergency Services committee. And it's going to take a committee that's going to sit down like a Parks and Rec board and have a meeting once a month to address these situations, because this number is going to get greater. Chief Brenton's still in the room at this time. He can tell you that his average age of fire trucks is probably 20-year-old. Yeah, 20-year-old. That's our average age. And if these are going to become more concurrent, that's what we're dealing with right now. This next truck that I'm going to speak to you about as far as Hickory Valley, Commissioner Hutchins is the same age, and it's a sister engine to well, basically both of what Chief Brunton has. It's a sister engine to what Bondycroft had, and they're all around that 20-year mark. So we, as a county, and me standing here as an emergency management director and a fire coordinator for the county, I try to bring, and I tell these departments, and you can ask some of them, that I try to bring the right things to the board when I feel like it's going to be substantial to the fire department, or it could backstep them in a way. And I know I don't know what our county budget's up to now, because I've been off to it for a long time, but I know that looking at a total budget and you're in the millions, in the 60, 70, 80 millions, or a school board project, it's not as detrimental when you look at something and you say that's $5,000. How can they not afford it? $5,000 could be the difference in getting a coat and a pair of pants, a set of boots, you know. Now, where the lines draw, Commissioner Hutchins, I'm not for sure.
where does it put us at? I mean, there was a proposal for a countywide fire department a couple of years ago, and everybody was largely against that.
That is correct.
And I'm not saying Chief Sparks was, I don't know.
Right.
But it was a very hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
And
being a municipality, coming from a municipality fire department, because that's what the city of Dole is, in regards to that, is a little bit different than them joining as far as full-blown. As far as operationally and working with us, I think that department, along with several others in the county, are willing to do anything. I think that we're taking the right steps. It's just, I don't think our funding, you know, and we'll get into that for this fiscal year of 2026, but the money that you guys allocated that's come down for equipment purchases has worked fabulous. I mean, it's severely helped us. But it's not going to help us when it's out climbing what we're seeing as far as the
But it goes back, to me, it goes back to, we need a countywide fire department. If the county's gonna fund it, then we need, the chiefs can't have their cake and eat it too, in my opinion.
So I think if you're gonna accept money for these repairs, I think you are correct in ways. I think that we do need to hold accountability for pump test. If you don't pump test, I think that, you know, because that's exactly how we found Bondycross, that's exactly how we found Cassville's, that's exactly how we found Hickory Valley's. Hickory Valley's passed pump test last year. I've had the pump test work. This year it did not. That's why we do that $225 test. because that allocates and lets us catch these problems instead of it being on scene. You know, we don't want it to happen when somebody's on the line, you know, flowing water. We want it to happen when it costs us $225. And I think that in that situation, if you don't take advantage of a test that is provided to you as a service by this county, I don't think you should be able to come to this organization, this governmental organization, and ask for assistance if you're not already taking some of our assistance. Does that make sense?
We need a full-time director to manage this that we don't have right now.
That is for this governing body of the 14 and the mayor and the finance director to decide.
Has there been discussion with the city of Dole to help fund part of this?
Yes, they are funding, they would be funding that 1237. He does not, to my knowledge. I think it comes as a budget part of his. So that 37 of the 25, that would be coming from Dole, basically.
Wait a minute, break that down. So the total was
If
40?
the total was 49.15.
Okay.
And the county's 75 contribution, if we hold true to what we have done for the last two, then both these repairs were also done in county at the station, so they didn't have to travel or haul it. And the county's contribution would be 371186. Director Markham, if you don't care, please check my math on that, but I think that's correct. And then Dole, or the city of Dole, City of Dole's Fire Department contribution, which would be from the city of Dole, would be 123728.
But the difference in that is the other counties, the other county entities that we funded, they funded the 25%, right? Out of their...
Yeah, well, we funded it too, to a degree, because of our contributions that we give them, or off their fundraisers. I mean, but the total bill off that is so substantial that probably, without the county's contribution, those departments wouldn't have been able to fund their side of the repair either.
No,
So
I get it, but I guess I'm trying to make a fair balance between the city of Dole.
I understand that. I understand.
If,
The only thing that I can tell you is that the city of Dole's Fire Department and their contribution to the county and their outland areas is, like I said, is probably a lot more than 10 to 1 as far as their direct ISO correlation to what they protect inside the city. And that's their first due response. I mean, they go all the way from basically Highway 111 at the county line all the way down to where they meet us in Quebec, down past the Dollar General. So they have the Dollar General, they have ACI, they have the Rock Quarry, different places like that. And then they come back up and then they meet us around, right up here below the BASF area. They come up Dole Highway quite a bit, all the way up to Jackson Kayak. And then back over down County House. I did not bring that map with me, so I apologize.
does the city of Dole do they have their own paid fire department?
No, sir, they're all strictly 100% volunteer.
Does the city of Dole, do they contribute to the Dole Fire Department like we contribute to the rest of the county?
Yes.
You know what?
I do not, but I can get that total for you real quick.
It's been paid for and they're asking for reimbursement. I would like to put it off to the next committee meeting, maybe get some input from Dole maybe.
I guess my question is, would this board prefer Chief Sparks come and speak also with me? He would be able to, I mean.
If there's a motion on the floor to table, we can align that with someone, if it's Chief Sparks or whoever coming to our next.
The other trucks that we've been helping with, hasn't it all been pump related?
Yes. One of these was an ERG coolant leak on the motor, and the other one was a
So we got
valve.
one here that's a coolant leak for $1,400. I think since we've already went down this road, I would think that we would need to stay within the scope that we've already established, which is pump repair.
Well, your coolant, it's hard to explain, but your coolant levels do tie into your pump repair just because your coolant runs through your actual fire pump also. So, and you can ask Commissioner Brenton. You can establish coolant leaks within the engine, just like a normal engine repair.
This is EGR valve.
For Yes, but it's tied into the coolant system. Replacing, let me see.
Coolant flows through everything.
Yeah, coolant flows through everything. There's stuff about secure hose leak from coolant system formed and ended up into verified that all leaks have been
Fire
repaired.
department's funded through their general. It's just a line item in their general fund.
Dole,
Yeah.
do you know how much?
I don't know how much, looking at their audit in 24, their expenditures was $40,036.
That's for fire
But that
protection.
could include the money that we give them as well. I don't think they operate a separate.
I've got a text message in Chief Sparks, so if you want me to, I can continue on about the Hickory Valley truck, and we'll have that information for you here momentarily, or what do you guys advise?
I'm good. Well, we've got a motion on the floor. do we?
No,
you
no,
don't have
no
one
motion
yet.
on the floor, but
That's totally up to this board.
Let's move on, circle back, I guess.
Okay. So
okay, you
the
wanna do Hickory Valley.
Hickory Valley, so we're talking about a 2000, 2001 top kick truck, just like the truck we repaired for Bondycroft, and just like, these are the ones that we still have. These are part of the original, what I call sister engines here in the county. Chief Brewington has a couple, North End still has one, Hickory Valley, Bondycroft, Caskell did have one. That was the one that had been wrecked, and they replaced it with its custom engine. That's ones that are around, well, now will be 25-year-old, 25-year-old average age. Truck did not pass pump test. It's a situation where we exactly don't know. It is still drivable. So the plus side to this one is it will not have to be hauled. It's not locked into pump gear. So it could be drove to the shop in Nashville or whatever the location would be. It's the same situation. It's going to be probably $4,000 to $5,000, guessing, to tear it down and look and see what it needs. Depending on what it does need, we will be able to maybe use some of that that pump that we did have, that we use for Bondycroft. We don't know that yet. I guess what I'm asking this board for is just a certain dollar amount to come out of budget to go to full court like we did the Bondycroft truck. We know that we're going to be in the 5,000 range regardless. That's just to tear it down. That's not even to put that pump back in.
You're essentially asking for that just to get the process.
Just to get the process started,
Right.
because you can't, me and Chad's talking, you can't bid anything. No company's going to be able to bid it when they don't know. It'd be like going and trying to get your motor rebuilt, and they don't know if it needs main bearings, pistons, crank, cam, whatever. So what I'm asking of this board for the Hickory Valley Fire Department, after speaking with the other Chief Sparks and Assistant Chief Baldwin, is that if this board would allocate the funds to do like we did the previous two times. They have since the county has started contributing the pump test to the county. They have took advantage of that program each time. Last year it passed pump test. This year it did not. They are currently, as Director Markham said, the small repairs, they're currently getting their tanker worked on, and they're funding that. They're currently getting their engine worked on. They're funding that. I think these departments are not necessarily, I know that we don't want to open up a can of worms, but I don't think any department is necessarily just looking, oh, we're not going to worry about it, the county's going to, because it's a process, and they know that now through me. They know that I just can't come up here. It takes 2 or 3 months to get the ball rolling. So they're not going to wait if it's I don't feel like if it's $1,000, $500,000, maybe even a $2,000 repair, they're going to try to move on that. So I think what I'm asking is this engine, we know it's got to go to the shop. It cannot be an in-house repair. We're Doles, they traveled here, cheaper to do it here than go down there and sit on the lot. You get it scheduled, they got it done in 2 days, This one, they'll have to go, has to go up on a lift, pump has to come out.
And if you mentioned this, I apologize, but where does the 75-25 split come into play with this Hickory Valley?
So we don't know yet because we don't have a bid on the repair. So, as we know, on the Bondycroft engine, we purchased that used pump for $1,500, is that right, Director Markham? Okay, and then so we took that, and I think that total bill was around $12,500. Don't hold me to that, I don't have that in front of me, somewhere around there. So what we did there is we took the total bill plus the $1,500 pump, and the county paid the 75 of that total bill. The Bondycroft Fire Department paid the 25% of that bill. Cassville's situation, same situation, but we don't know without getting the truck down there if it's gonna be a $7,000 repair or if it's gonna be a $20,000 repair.
If we move forward with this, we could do so in good faith that there will be some skin in the game.
There has to
on
be
the
some skin in the game. They've been made aware too that there's some skin in the game.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But we don't know, you know, I would be afraid to even tell you.
Does the committee have additional questions?
TK,
No
I think,
questions, just comments, because we're going,
TK, I think you made the motion that last time on the Bondi Croft truck, and I think that was, we were figuring in a tow bill down there too, and I think it was $7,500. Do you remember that, to get it down there and get the pump tore down? It's basically the same truck. I mean, they're all pretty much the same, aren't they, Chief Bennington? Yeah. I think that's what we allocated for that. Now, this one won't have to be hauled. There'll be volunteer members that'll drive it down and get picked up, I'm sure. But they'll have to call and get it scheduled at, you know, Siddons Martin, or maybe may tell them 2 weeks before they can touch it. The plus side of this is they have an older custom cab truck that will pump, but it will not draft, but they're working on that repair to try to get it fixed.
I just see flashbacks to the landfill. We've not done anything, any funding with the fire departments in years. Everything was bought at the same time, and everything's tearing up at the same time.
Not to swap gears on you real quick, but before we get, and it's fresh on our mind, Chief Sparks just texted me, and he said it varies, but depending on tax and the income coming into the city, but around 20,000 is what they allocate usually for their fire department.
7,400 is what we do.
Okay, so 7,400. I knew it was probably in the sevens. And I don't remember what we were figuring for a tow bill, but we do know it's gonna cost us $5,000 to probably get the pump tore down just for labor. Chief Burnett, I think you were in that meeting also. I think that's what I told, yes.
I mean, we've opened this can of worms. We either need to shut it or drive on with it.
I will say this, if I can, if we decide to shut it, we have some serious planning to do. Because our ISO, some departments are a year to 2.5 years out. Yours was probably three years ago, so he's 2 years out. I'm about 1.5 years, and without a Class A engine sitting in some of these departments, we'll be in bad shape. So we would have to have a serious financial and serious management plan in play, or start that process. We're gonna have to have that anyways, Commissioner Hutchins, but we would aggressively have to start working on that ASAP.
So regardless of long-term future planning, we do have these items in front of us right now. So we can, our options would be approve these items and send to full court. We could table till we gather more information, or we could close the can of worms, I might say. Any other questions for Matt?
I want to make a motion to table the reimbursement for Dole till we can get I think we need some feedback from the city of Dole. I think we need to do some kind of,
Okay, so
if we consider doing it, we need some kind of input, some kind of funding from them.
So we have a motion on the floor to table,
Now, I will say this.
and we have a second. Go ahead.
That both these invoices have been paid from Dole.
They have been paid.
Yeah, they had to be paid. So they've made, it's just.
So it's reimbursing them at this point?
Yes, he can't do anything else to continue out the years. The problem is part of the problem, but they got to be 0 to 30 days, and they got on that time stamp, so he went ahead and paid just to keep in good standing. Yes.
So the motion on the floor is to table the conversation here on the city of Dole, and it sounds like to have a representative come to the next committee meeting.
Would you like Chief Sparks to come to the next budget committee? That way you could answer your questions.
I mean, I feel like you've done a good job answering the questions. my question is what the city of Doyle gonna do?
Well, he could probably answer that also. I know that they're prepared to do the 12/37/28.
Well, they've already done it all.
Yeah, they've already done it all. So they're already prepared out of that, out of the 49/49/15, they're prepared to do, because Chief Sparks is aware of the 75/25 to hold true to what we've done so far. So they're already prepared to continue to keep, I guess, to continue to swallow the 12/37/28.
That's the Dole Volunteer Fire Department, right? Or the,
They
you're
get
saying
their-
the city of
They get their
Dole,
funds from just like.
They don't have a fundraising
Not
policy,
really,
they
no.
just,
No. Somebody
Dole.
might come through and give them a donation here or there or something, very rarely, but they don't have a fundraiser situation like Central View does. I mean, Central View doesn't have one either. Some departments do. But the city of Dole's contribution is already, bottom line, if you voted to pass it tonight, will be 12/37/28. That would be out the gate, their contribution.
Okay, motion on the floor. Are we ready to vote on the motion? Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor to table and bring this back to the next committee meeting, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the motion is tabled. Director Markham, if you'd help us out, and we'll get this on the next agenda, the next meeting agenda. Now, we'll go back, Hickory Valley. Is there more conversation?
we'll make a motion to approve the 5,000 for Hickory Valley.
We have a motion on the floor to approve up to $5,000 and a second.
Can I make one
Yeah,
statement?
go ahead.
Can we word that like we worded the 7,500?
That's what I was wondering.
Up to a dollar amount, but to not use it if we get down there. If it takes 3, we'll use the 3, but it may be more, I mean, if it ends up being more than 5, we're only gonna use what we need to use to get it tore down, and then we'll bring back a ballpark to this, an estimate.
So,
what-
amend my motion to approve up to $5,000 of a 75/25 split. You know how that means?
Yeah, I think that's what we did.
Because that's for the initial smell test to see what it's gonna cost.
That is correct, Commissioner Hutchins.
Amended motion up to $5,000
Second.
and a second. Anything else? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right,
Thank you, gentlemen.
so now, thanks, Matt.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for you gave us some bonus material here.
Well, sorry about that. We've been trying for 2 or 3 months to get it, and you guys are in budget too, so that's
If you don't,
difficult on everybody.
if you don't mind, let's start with your OEM request. I
Yes, sir.
believe you have 5. If you just want to hit all 5 at one time, and we'll just stop you with questions as we go, if that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the OEM budget, which is directly my, budget proposal worksheet, is, line item, 499, as you can see on your sheet, other supplies and materials, fiscal year budget had 3,500 in it. I asked a 50% increase on that for fiscal year '26, which would take that to 7,000. 3,500 of that was the increase into stage 4 pallets of oil dry and 4 pallets of water in 4 stations in the county. What we have seen in this, or what I have seen in this county, is that more vehicle accidents, more building, more hazmat spills, and I think it would be good if we could get oil dry staged in some of these. This would get us, and water also. I know just in training, we've tore through 2 pallets of water. Now, I just was awarded another grant for a whole pallet of water this year, and I got one last year, but it's only one. This would be that increase to purchase 4 pallets of oil dry and 4 pallets of water to stage at probably the 4 corners in the county. That being said, probably on the Von Air area, if Chris had room there, because the isolated stations are a little bit difficult to come back, and sometimes Jerry and them will bring anything we need, but at the same time, if we can get it and get it faster. I try to look at threat assessment too. You know, Chris has Cherry Creek and the river running right through it, so we can't wait 20, 30 minutes to get some stuff on the scene. Water's the same situation. Storm damage, out working these storms, they keep reoccurring, and you know, I'll just give you a case of an incident. I apologize. I give you an instant. When we had our incident at the middle school, I had to call Putnam County to get them to bring us some water out here because we didn't have enough staged here, just for one incident. I think I had to send somebody to Walmart to purchase that. I think it would be better if we could get some staged at these fire departments where we don't have to call, or I don't have to call the mayor or the finance director and say, hey, can we send somebody necessarily to get us 20 cases of water? We will worry about kind of, I guess you could say, who's going to come up with the funding of it at a later time, but I think that would be, that's what is in 499. That's what that increase is. That's kind of where I get my, Chad, you correct me if I'm wrong, we take a lot of my hazmat supplies, booms, pads, and stuff that's supplied to the fire department for hazmat incidents and car wrecks out of that line item. Any questions? Line item number 338, I think, maintenance and repair, 2,500 to 9,000. Camper top, lights and sirens. So I still do not have lights and siren on my OEM, the bigger truck. It cost me about $4,000 to put lights on my pickup truck. I just kind of figured that in at roughly around the same light package. It's nothing elaborate, simple hand control siren lights. And then the camper top is for the pickup truck that you guys purchased me, so I'm going to take the toolbox out. The toolbox is going to County Highway Department. The toolbox better suits them. I've already bought, I bought a used bed slide out, so if I can get a camper top for it, they're going to run about $4,000 for just a standard camper top. That'll allow me to use my slide out, and I can put the stuff that we need to carry in there for these departments, a couple bags of oil dry and such and such. But right now, I'm in max capacity in my toolbox. 790, any questions over 388, gentlemen? 790 is other equipment, is 4,500 to 6,000. That's radio and mobiles and handhelds. We attempt to try to buy a couple of them, 2 to 3 a year, to put in a cache for us because our old Motorola 6550s are aging out for disaster situation if we have mutual aid teams or mutual aid partners come into this county. Most everyone around us is starting to, a lot of people around us are starting to go to a P25 system, which is something that we just can't afford at this time. You know, those radios are around $12,000 a piece. We still run off a Moto Turbo incident, so this would allow us to carry some in a cache, I guess you could say, for a disaster situation. And we try to put in my department a couple a year just in case they age out, because some of our 6550s they no longer make and make parts for. Any questions over any of them? As you can see down on capital budget, this is the 4th year bringing this to the budget committee. This is a 6-seater side-by-side. As I spoke last year on the state park coming, which comes live May the 9th, we're going to see an increase of deployments to that. We've already been in conversations with state parks and been planning and mitigation processes for that. We have already seen an incident call increase there, and we know that it's going to be more. Eastland now has a brush side-by-side, and the rescue squad, they ended up doing a letter drive, I think. Don't hold me to that, but they ended up getting one. This would allow us, and I do have I think it's a 2006 John Deere Gator that's a small 2-seater, but it's not really off-road capability. We use that for events in the fair and stuff. And this would be utilized for all of our events also, but it's mainly just for a response vehicle. This is, I'm just going off what it increased for the last 2 years. This has a windshield, a winch, a roof, and a lighting kit, and probably, with a couple of stickers on it that says White County OEM from some graphics company. You're probably looking at 25 and up. I know when we first started this process, I think we were around the 17,000 range.
And it's a very, very minute difference, but our spreadsheet says 28.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so no, it's only a $3,000 difference, but that's.
Maybe that's something maybe I think.
25.
No, I'm on the Google Drive.
Oh.
The chat, yeah.
I think, Chad, what we did is we said 25 to 28.
It's
I
on
think,
there.
because of the increases, and that may be what I did.
Yeah, I think that's what, I think
I think that's right, because I think I can't imagine it being no more than 11,000 more than what it was 4 years ago, but I didn't go on state contract this time. The last 3 years, John Deere come in cheaper. I don't necessarily have I'm not brand specific. It's just whatever, something that's off-road capable and can haul 6 people and enough cargo. Any questions over that, gentlemen?
We leaving next, and that's all you had for OEM?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move to,
Well, before we move,
yeah, go ahead.
in our work sessions, we had a lot of discussion about a full-time OEM director. Is that discussion we have now or later?
Can be had now. It is listed on our request. I think we just may have pulled that out for tonight. Put Matt in an awkward situation maybe,
Okay.
was the only reason for it, but yeah, we can,
If it's for later, then it's for later. I just wanted to ask.
you don't, go
Well, the
ahead.
problem with Matt here, I mean, Matt can be here at any time, but with him standing there at the podium, it may not be
Oh, yeah.
the appropriate time to talk about that.
I don't think it's forgotten about though.
Okay.
It's still on there. I think it was just pulled out just for tonight. You'll move to fire and rescue?
Yes, sir. So as you see on fiscal year 2026, line item number 790 is other equipment in underneath my OEM budget, but it's strictly for fire. It has no ties to mine. Chad, Director of Markham, if you don't care, just stop me at any time if I speak out of turn. The fiscal year budget had $45,000, which is commenced of the fire departments, and then $5,000 is down here on the rescue squad. So we decided to keep them different. So that total contribution to fire rescue last year was $50,000 for equipment purchases. In my opinion, that's had real good feedback. It's went a long way. We've got a lot of nozzles, hose. I mean, we've bought a lot of things for that, a lot of things that's needed. We have seen our turnout gear go from July, August last year from $2,300 to $2,800 all the way up to $3,500 to $3,600, even into the $4,000 range. So what I'm proposing this year, and when we get down to rescue, you'll see the rest of it, is I would love to see the county propose another $45,000, which is, and the reason for that is you'll see the side note out beside it of an increase of 10 to 25% in general equipment cost. Now, with that being said, the departments will have no problem spending that on equipment. We are, just to be honest with you, we're seeing a lot more, I would say, specialized calls with the people that's moving in here, the houses getting closer, appliances that we need to buy, air packs, bottles, so forth. That would give each department $10,000 to spend with a PO through this office. And anybody that's requested anything, we have not denied or any of that this year. They've all been good to work with, and they've all, I feel like, been very, very appreciative of it. To give you a reference, that'll let us buy, if a department gets $10,000, that's gonna let you buy around 8 SCBA bottles, that's it. It's at $10,000.
Might let you fix one pump.
Could. Could, yes, sir. So, like I said, I don't think that we will have any issue, none whatsoever. We're not spending the money just to be spending. We have replaced a lot of some 1960s, some 1970s and 80s equipment this year, and some equipment that we was just doing without, just with the $5,000. It's kind of gave them a little bit of breathing room, in my opinion.
And this is still flowing through
OEM, yes, sir.
OEM's purview?
Yes, sir. Director Markham, do you think that's working okay? I know me and you've had multiple conversations about it, and it seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, we've not had any issues on our end,
Yeah.
thanks.
Miss Esther won't let you slip much. She'll track you down, so she makes me sign. So that's that increase, if there's any other questions regarding that.
So you're asking to go from 45 to 90?
Yes, sir. Yeah, we're at 45 in line item 7. Well, you'll see down here, because we kept it separate, but there's another line item on White County Rescue for that, so you'll see that. Any other questions on that one?
No, sir.
Okay. So the new line item will be OSHA fit testing and OSHA flow testing. So we have in the past years, in the last 2 to 3, that is an ISO requirement, and OSHA, as we know, is law. OSHA fit testing is where we put our mask on, we get a company to fit test us for respiratory protection. The flow testing is our SCBAs, which are supposed to be flow tested also once a year. So as you see out to the side, OSHA fit testing for 70 firefighters, OSHA requirement, and an ISO requirement. We have previously had nothing in the budget for that. The departments have been swallowing that or absorbing that. The last couple of years, the Firefighters Association agreed, and we're still getting that down, but I would like to see us, if we're picking up pump test, and to go along to what you're saying, Commissioner Hutchings, once we put it underneath you all, it has accountability to it. And it's kind of like with the OSHA flow testing. If we're flow testing everybody's air packs, and you don't take part in that flow testing, and then, an air pack can cost $3,000 or $4,000 just to repair. Some of those can get very expensive. If you don't take part in this flow testing for your packs, it would be very hard pressed for me to come and ask you guys to help repair my air packs if they were damaged. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So I think we're building this accountability through the departments, through some of this mandatory testing that we need to be doing and should be doing. The flow testing, I can't remember. I think fit testing is somewhere between 35 to 45. I'd say it'll be $50 a person probably this year. And I'd say the flow testing would probably be close to the same, just guessing. We would have to probably bid those, or we would be reaching out and also price shopping, because once again, instead of, let's just say, Chief Brewington doing his fit test in May and me turning around and doing ours in July, we can combine those and do them all just like we do pump test and whatever else. We could do all 70. We could say, here, give us a price, we want to do 70. A prime example of that is I ordered thermal imaging cameras this year. I ordered one for Cassville Fire Department, and I ordered 4 for Bonnie Croft off that $5,000 deal. Not only did I get a shipping break, but I also ended up saving the county about $1,000 on them because we bought 5 back to back. So this purchasing power within a department, ordering these things is working when we can make it work. So that's the only 3 things that I have as far as on the fire side for requirements this year.
I'm curious to your math. Increase of 10 to 25%, but you were asking for 100% increase.
And in total equipment cost is what I'm saying. I'm not asking for, we have seen an increase in the cost of equipment from 10 to 25%. That's not meaning that I know that my percentage out to the side is 100% increase what I'm asking for as far as funds available. But the increase of 10 to 25%, we see that sometimes twice a year within our equipment costs. So if something costs $100 this time, it's $110 or $125, and then we could see that twice again within the same year. I know fire hose, for example, had 3 increases some companies did within this year. So you are correct if you correlate that into the total amount, but as far as that was, I should have probably worded that different, and I apologize. That was meaning that we have seen a 10 to 25% increase in equipment, and we sometimes see some of that twice a year.
If we want to give you the same amount of purchasing power without losing a bang for our buck, we need to increase 10 to 25%.
Yeah, well, what I'm saying is like the coat and pants that we bought in January is 25% higher now in May, and we're probably going to see another increase in the fall. Usually you see one in the spring and fall in fire equipment. So, but at that same time, we allotted $5,000 per department, and they've used that. I mean, they've used that and could use more. So, I mean, look, we're behind in some places. We could use $20,000 apiece, but we've got to get there slowly. So I tried to budget, as I talked to the director, Markham, I tried to budget for what increase we could see, and then probably I'll be honest with you, to pad a little bit, just so we could pick up a few extra things that we needed last year that we couldn't afford. If each department gets $10,000, they'll have to put money with that to buy an air pack. An SCBA respirator now with a mask and 2 bottles, an air pack is going to cost you around $11,000 to $11,300. So they're going to have to come up with $1,300 bare bones minimum by the time this goes through, maybe even $2,000 to purchase one of those to start placing them an agent amount. So that's why the 45% or the $45,000 increase.
You move on down to rescue, if you're
Yeah.
ready.
So the rescue line, 790, that other equipment, we separated those. Two different organizations, but all together, it's the same organization. We increased theirs. They were getting the $5,000 contribution also, so we increased theirs to 5. So that would be in that total 790 line item of $100,000. And once again, I apologize. I worded that probably different. I probably should have put a little bit more in that description, and I apologize for that. Any questions over that one? Same scenario, just drop down. 307 is communication. I think Chad had $1,200 in there. This fiscal year 2026 is $1,800. We're going to increase that. It's a increase of $600 for a tablet with service for mapping and reporting. So we are fixing to get a program here within the county that it's called Sartopo. This will allow for search tracks. We used it on the Whited incident. We used somebody else's program. We've been trying to use a free program, but there's only so much that it'll allot for it. This will allow our search and rescue teams that are affiliated with rescue, and most of that comes through rescue. This will allow them, as long as they've got cellular data service, which they do at Scotts Gulf now and at Virgin Falls to a degree, this will allow them to track members and have accountability at all times. So this would be, of course, we would have to purchase, or the preference, I think, as me and Director Markham spoke, would be to put this on a data plan through the county's program, since the county's already paying their communication stuff, which would be like I'm assuming Verizon Frontline program, just like my county phone is. And I think that data program is $45 a month, I think, roughly through that program. We would still have to purchase the tablet, but I think that they could probably do that.
We just started that last year, right, Chad? The communications for the rescue squad? That's a newer,
We've done communications, I can't remember if the rescue squad got left off of that, but that is a newer thing.
how does their funding structure break down outside the county budget that we have? I know they have some fundraisers. Does the city of Sparta contribute?
They do, and I could probably get that.
No,
for
it's-
you. But they do.
You don't have-
Yeah, that's the, I do not know that total budget for them.
Any questions for Matt? Thank you very much, Matt.
We got fire, we still have one more,
It's
right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
capital outlay projects.
I'm sorry.
So, capital outlay projects for fire is on, we have a station that is a county building at Sullivan Knolls Road, 2551 Sullivan Knolls Road, I think, is a roof replacement. I didn't get this in last year. The roof started leaking there. Dean Wayne sent Darrell County Maintenance out, and Darrell's intuition is that it cannot be, it's been patched and patched and patched. This sets on, to best of my knowledge, county property. Mayor, you may have to correct me if I speak out. And then also the county, it's a county building. So in this, that station needs a roof replacement. When you do that, it's going to require new insulation on top when they tear off, and then gutters. And me and Daryl's been out there and looked at it, and Daryl got up on it and looked. I actually wanted him to patch it. We've got a patch on it in a bucket sitting in the office right now. We're in the new sheetrock on the remodel that we did. Bathroom update, that building was let go for some time. You know, and me and Chad, we talked about this stuff. I called a roofing company, the same roofing company that went out there where I couldn't get it into budget proposal last year. They were around that $18,000 mark. I called them when me and Chad sat down in February, is that right, sir? And we talked about this, and at that same time, it was still, he didn't feel like there was a metal increase or anything, and he said he felt like it would still come in around there. So we put in that line item, $25,000, with an arrow pointed down beside it, because I think it will come in lower than that. Bathroom update, HVAC extension, plumbing, and electrical cleanup. At some point in time, even with it being a county building, I don't know who, but everybody, it seems like everybody under the sun has done some type of electrical in the building. Probably because, just to be honest with you, Commissioner Hutchins, probably a offhands approach, as we've, many years ago, offhands from the fire department approach, and they probably did a lot of it on their own. Parking lot, water runoff reroute, county highway agreed to help. Jerry and them, you can pretty much, I mean, we would love to talk about an apron out in front of it, but to do that, me and Director Sawyers talked, and we have spoke about this. They come out and they fixed and did a lot of great work over at the side. It looks amazing, and that tremendously helped with the water coming back in the building. So thank you, and I know we've told you that. So we can address that one and look at it again probably next year, because most of that's been resolved, which we're very, very thankful of. And then the 4x8 by 15, 16 sheet of ceiling replaced lower by Bay Area. That's at a different station, which also sets on, and me and the mayor have talked about this. I don't know, we're in a tough situation at that station because we set on school board property, which is at the Centerview location. So we all know that that is a small project. We just need probably some help getting it done. I think we could probably come up with that the funds there is basically some station maintenance. That'd be probably a big help. And I know that they are covered up as the volunteer departments are also. So that was just a small project. Like I said, just know that, you know, we had an electrician down there for 2 days, a certified electrician. We absorbed this stuff on our own, wired up our cascade system, so forth and so forth, you know, very good to us. Like I said, the bottom two have pretty much resolved themselves. The top two have not. We do not have the best working, barely working restroom facility in that station, which is at Sullivan Nose Road, which is on the county property, county building, and then the roof. That roof replacement, I went with the roofing company's recommendation because it doesn't have gutters and downspouts. But on one, Jerry, is that one corner? Gutters and downspouts, is that just one corner that it had that on there? On the front corner. Yeah. So that would be putting gutter and downspouts on that building also.
That's part of Hickory Valley. Is that Hickory Valley?
No, it's now Central Views.
It's Central Views.
Yes, sir. It used to be the old Mount Gilead Fire Station. This one's kind of centrally located there. They had did a remodel of the kitchen and redid the whole office and put a ceiling in it and sheetrock and all that, and then started having trouble out of the roof. It's been patched several times. I've talked to 3 or 4 different people that's patched it over the years. Lanny was one of them. He said they've been patching it for years, and then the mayor sent Daryl down there.
You guys good?
I don't have any questions.
You good anyway?
Mayor?
Yes.
Mr. Austin?
Unfortunately, I've got to hear about all this, so.
Already?
Yeah.
You've already got your question. TK, you good? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Chairman.
Appreciate that.
And just to kind of publicly say thank you for the job you did there during the plane crash.
Oh, you're welcome. It was a big team effort. There was a lot of good things that happened up there. I will say this, and I've told this, we had a hot wash of it Saturday at the airport, and I think it went, as everybody agreed, I was really surprised at how well it went for our first one. We had an IC set up, an incident command system, multiple resources, a bathroom trailer on site, light towers and everything. FAA, we got a good report from the FAA and the NTSB at that location also. So, and the airport seemed to be on par and through to that too with the response. So, thank y'all.
Thank you. Any discussion while it's fresh on your mind for the committee? All right, Director Markham, would you take us through well, let's do this. Do we have any old business?
I'm just kind of for sake of it.
Okay, now, Director Markham, would you take us through those items under new business from the school federal projects fund?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have four budget amendments to bring before you tonight for the School Federal Projects Fund. The first one is for Title I, Subfund 102. This is a $3,400 reclassification within the grant for benefits and staff development. Second amendment in your packet there is Title IV, Subfund 411. This is a $400.46 amendment for reclassification for substitute teachers, non-certified substitute teachers, and staff development as well. Amendment number 3 is 21st Century After-School Program. This is Subfund 432. This is a $2,000 amendment, reclassification from in-service and staff development in that grant to salaries and wages. And then the final one for School Federal Projects Fund is a $11,589.68 amendment. This is for the CTE Carl Perkins Basic Grant. This is Subfund 801. This is kind of a year-end cleanup. We have some funds left in some categories. We're moving those, majority of which will go into vocational equipment to be used to purchase equipment for the ag program. These will go before the school board on Thursday night and stay within this committee.
I'll make a motion to approve contingent on school board approval.
A motion
Second.
and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, all amendments carried. And then we have one more, I believe. That's the Highway Public Works Fund.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is for the Highway Public Works Fund budget amendment. This would go to the county commission for approval if you approve it here. This is a budget amendment to appropriate funds that we're anticipating receiving from the sale of surplus equipment, and that money will be used to purchase a new tractor for the department for mowing.
Motion's in full court.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay, at this time, we'll entertain public comment. If there's anybody in the audience like to address the budget committee, you come.
Say something.
Come on up, Commissioner Brewington.
So on this, talking about maps, talking about these fire departments that they killed, that they're in these fire halls, but the school board owns these schools. These fire halls. What can a man do to get those schools to turn them over to the fire department or to the county so we can, right there, Bonnie Crawford, take for instance, they want to add a couple of bays to theirs. They can't add it because the school owns it. We don't own it. Well, we are leasing it.
How many of those fall in that category? Cassville,
Bonnie Cross.
Bonnie Cross, and Central View?
We have four in that situation.
So to answer
What's
that.
the fourth one, Chad? Go ahead, Matt.
So what I was going to say is, Chief Burnton's right. So I don't know, I didn't hear you, and I apologize, Director Martin. So basically, Caspel, and then
What's Quebec on?
Quebec's on school board property. Quebec Community Center is on school board property technically. So we have Caspel, Central Views, this, our main station, Station 31, which is at the Central View, across from Central View Market. Our Quebec station, which is on school board property, which is at 365 Quebec Road. You have Hickory. Hickory Valley is a different animal upon itself. It's controlled by a board with people that's on the deed that are no longer living. So there's some adjustment that needs to be made there. Then you come on up, Bondycroft is one of them. I think Eastland sits on county property up next to the convenience center.
School, we're talking about school.
Okay,
He's
well, I
talking-
was just trying to give you, because they're school, they're also on other, like other things, so, and then, you on yours, North End, I think that's it, right, Chad? Castle,
It's just 4.
okay.
How many, do we have 7 stations?
Fire department?
Fire department.
Yeah. Yeah. He has 2, I have 3. Bill has 2.
Talking about buildings, I'm on, yeah.
The stations.
Buildings of the station.
That's
Of-
stations, no, that's
Or
not buildings, that's
stations.
stations. Yeah, that's 7, and then you have Bondycroft, North End, Caspel, Hickory Valley, yeah, there's 11 or 12 plus the rest of the school.
You don't have to do that now right there, but that question was asked to the last, or second, two school boards passed it right there. Bondycroft went to the school board and asked the school board, can we do this areas? But the contractors are not wanting to do anything unless they have somebody to sign off for it. Well, the school board's not gonna sign off for it.
There was something with Cassville too, because Cassville, I think Cassville got some kind of relief from the school board to build across the road. I don't know the details of that, maybe, because the school board owns all that too, so. I know. For the helipad, yeah. I don't know all the details, but it was.
There's a section of that across there that's septic system for the new, they put the septic system over there on that side of the road,
yeah.
so they may not be able to do anything over there.
Yeah.
They-
Well, that's right there
they
where the
put
3 roads come
Yeah,
together.
they put several feet of.
I'm just letting you know ahead of time, right there. This is getting ready to be a discussion that's getting ready to come on right there is,
Yeah.
I think Chad, I don't know if he was at the last, or 2 school boards before that right there is, Bondycroft and Eastland crew went to the school board and asked them, and they said that they were gonna discuss it with the commissioners and, Dean Wayne, but I'm pretty sure it ain't never happened. But, something needs to be done on that part, because they do need more room right there but it's on school property, so they're in a pickle
Yeah.
to get something done.
That's a really good question.
Really good question.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else like to address the budget? Come on up, Nick.
I'm back tonight in reference to the sheriff's office approved grant that you guys approved. Come back tonight to see if I sent all that to Danny Wayne for it to go back to full court.
Yeah, I got it. Actually, I did. Derek sent it. I didn't get it from you. I don't know why.
You was on I seen you was on the email.
Yeah,
Sent it to you.
I saw it too, but I didn't,
Yeah.
I didn't see it. I knew you did send it, yeah. I didn't have it.
I got it. Okay. I didn't know if there's any other questions. I actually brought my folder this time. I didn't know if you needed anything. Is it just now moving to full court now? Awesome.
So on the agenda for the 19th.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome to be here on the 19th too, just in
Okay.
case. Anybody else like to address the budget committee? All right, I believe Director Markham, I do think we need to schedule a standalone special call meeting. Don't you think that'd be, we've heard all the, we have no other department heads or directors coming to present budgets, correct?
That's correct. I guess I would entertain from you guys maybe tonight, if just a general idea of what your thoughts are, so I can start kind of finalizing some stuff and giving you some scenarios. If your thoughts, we talked last week about my estimated calculation on what the penny would be, what maybe the certified tax rate would be, just an estimate again on my part for that, and, what you guys are comfortable with raise-wise, how much you're thinking about allocating for that. Are you interested in the TCRS program for the COLA? Just some of the things that we've discussed, some of the items we've discussed as far as employment. Are we talking, are we looking at an OEM director? Are we looking at a Parks and Rec director? Are we looking at, regardless of if we get the grant, are we looking at that Parks and Rec director? Just kind of some clarification, I guess.
Well, I think one component of that would be, are we leading the way with revenue, or are we leading the way with expenses? Are we going to talk about a certified tax rate that sets the tone for what we do on the expense side?
Well, and at the certified tax rate, you're looking at $200,000-300,000 more extra dollars.
Right, and that's my point.
Yeah.
Is that the conversation we have first, or do we go through the expenses line by line, have a conversation about each one of them? And we've done that in years past. We literally went through every request line by line and kind of top.
Yeah, I guess it would be helpful to know kind of where you guys are at on some of these things. If some of these things are just like, absolutely not, we're not worrying about funding that, then, but if everything's on the table, then I can throw everything on the table and we can come up with that number, and then we can back it off and see, what you need as far as the tax rate.
To me, my opinion is, right now, everything's on the table. I think we need to go through the employee pay. We've already hit some highlights on a few things, and we know that a potential X percentage is probably not gonna work on some of those things. We saw that the last meeting. There's probably others in that group. Coming from the work session, Parks and Rec is on the table, OEM's on the table. I don't think anything's been cut off the table, in my opinion.
Is there anything that we've not talked about that maybe I've dropped off the radar that maybe y'all are wanting to?
Well, it come out of discussion about another office staff member for either or both your office and Denny Wayne's office.
And you got your grant people, of course, that can be combined into that.
Grant person.
Okay.
Chad, what would be most helpful for you if we scheduled a special call meeting very quickly and took our time and went by line? Would that answer some of the things, what you're asking for us now? Would that help you?
Yeah, that would, and you guys would know what you're looking at as far as what the tax penny, or what the tax rate would have to be in order to fund those things. It's kind of, you've got to kind of look at, we got to look at both of them at the same time.
Yeah.
As soon as next week? I know the week of the 19th, Denny Wayne's out of town. The week of the 26th is Memorial Day, and I also have a baby expected that week.
Ooh.
So as soon as next week, the week of the 12th?
We're gonna have to get on it.
We could do a Monday. Is that bad? It didn't sound like a good sign.
Oh, no, Monday's okay. Tuesday and Wednesday's bad, Thursday's bad.
How about Monday the 12th? Derek and TK and Chad.
We can do 5:30.
Good for me.
I can do 5:30.
Chad? Monday the 12th at 5:30?
And I'll go with that. And I think we need to emphasize our pay, because I think you're right. We're not gonna be able to say there's gonna be a 10% across the board raise. That's not gonna.
Well,
No.
we've got some was way under
Yeah.
to start with. It needs to be.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be more complicated. We're going to pull out a handful of people, departments. I mean, just like the solid waste, they're making 8 and they're asking for 12, and I don't think that's out of
I don't think, that's out of the question either.
either. So I think we're going to have to go through and handpick and pull some of the some of it, and the rest, then we're gonna have to come up with a percentage or something, and we've talked about longevity pay, we've talked about a lot of stuff.
Was we doing that at 5:30?
Yeah, Monday the 12th at 5:30. We'll meet in this room here, and somebody may need to order pizza.
Yep.
Promises, promises. I know. Not county money, though.
How many y'all pizza you give us a raise?
There's a few in this room.
5-cent raise approved for anybody that works for Jerry Salter who's buying pizza.
I'll get the bridge,
All right.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned.